Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Rock and Roll Brunch episode 9. Today on the show, it's a ska-tacular episode. Today we're going to be talking about if emo can be rehabbed, can ska? Also, we're going to be reviewing the new record from We Are the Union. So, pick it up. Stick around.
Ska-tacular. We should have had a pre-production meeting about what we were going to call this episode.
What would you call it?
I don't know. I don't know if I would have gone with ska-tacular.
Give it another one off the top of your head. Go.
Ska-tastic. Ska.
So much better.
Extravaganza.
I was going to go with ska and roll brunch or ska brunch. So I went with ska-tacular.
Let me just write all these down.
Yeah. All the good ones, though.
So I feel like I already want to rant a little bit in the fact that, like, a person who's just picking up ska for the first time from TikTok right now would not understand any of these jokes. They'd just be like, why are they adding the word ska to all of these words?
Because you can.
I know, but I know this is one of my beefs with the trend. So if we wanted to keep this
oh my gosh,
glorious,
we got a ska purist on board today, folks.
Dude, I'm here for it.
We go. Ladies and gentlemen, like I said, welcome to Rock and Roll Brunch episode 9. My name is Josh Marcanti. With me, as always, are my two glorious skankin' co-hosts. Mr. Chris Marcanti. Chris, how are you?
I'm doing well. Just picking it up over here.
Pick it up. The other guy you see shaking his head, it's going to be a rough one coming out of him today. Mr. Dane Erbach. Dane, how are you?
I'm doing good.
Good to hear. So we had to skip. What was it, last week? We had to skip. We had to postpone 1 week. The last time we postponed is because I had COVID, which, it's like a valid reason. And then last week we had to postpone because Dane, you were in.
Wait, hold on.
The happiest place on earth.
Yeah, that definitely, you framed that like Dane's vacation is less important.
Wait, hold on. Also,
one of us had
you two were on vacation the week we were supposed. I thought, like, you guys were the ones on vacation.
That might be right.
And then I went on vacation.
That might be right.
That sounds.
And you guys were on vacation together and didn't like say like, hey Dane, you guys want to come up to where were you, Michigan?
Michigan, yeah.
You guys want to come up with us? We're gonna have so much fun with our families together. And I was.
We thought about it. We did think about it, but then we thought Dane's gonna be on vacation for 2 weeks.
Yeah, that's so much.
Just saying.
He can't
then
pregame a vacation with
Listen,
a vacation.
we went on vacation for 2 weeks because we road tripped to Florida with 3 children.
Yeah.
Well, how was your road trip? It
was actually really good. And
how did the kids do in the car? Like,
they were fine to the extent they were literally as good as they could possibly be, because like my children can get, like, the dynamic between the two older boys are like, if the oldest is playing a game, like, the younger one wants that game even if they don't know how to play it, or is probably a little too young for it, and then when he has a hard time with the game, freaks out. But like, our 2-year-old was a champ in the car pretty much for the most part. I mean, we spent like 20 hours driving.
Yeah.
They were good.
That's awesome.
And
how was the happiest place on earth?
So, like, I'm not a Disney person.
Right.
Are you guys Disney people? Is that like a childhood thing, like that you guys like watched Lion King every day or something?
No. If the question,
there's a needle to thread.
Gun to your head, are you a Disney person or no? The answer is no. My wife is a very big Disney person. So I am as an adult now by association, but to my core, not really.
Yeah. I mean, I felt that way a little bit going there. Go ahead. Sorry, Chris.
I was going to say, my wife is literally like, I don't get it. I don't understand. I'm like, we should go to Disney. And she's
You'll
like,
get it.
But why? Like,
but your wife also hates fun things.
Lots of fun things.
Name one fun thing. Hates it.
Not a fan.
Well, that's okay. But that whole mentality is kind of how I felt about Disney World all along. As I was like, do we really need, like, we have friends that literally go twice a year and stuff,
Yeah.
and multiple friends.
Yeah, for sure.
And I'm like, that's really expensive. We will never have that much money. And then Sleepy Joe Biden came through for us, and we've had a lot of money.
Checks?
Yeah, we've had a lot of money, and so we've been able to.
Thanks, Joey B.
And my aunt offered us to stay in her place in Tampa, so we just sort of have had a free home base.
Awesome.
Yeah, and she was like buying us food, and she was just amazing.
She was happy to see you guys.
I guess, because it was all in all, it was a great trip. Disney was very hot, and like the kind of hot that feels like
Death.
Yeah. Ugh.
Yeah, it was just like constant sweat. I haven't done like a constant all day sweat in a really long time.
We went in August of 2 years ago. We went, and it was like 90 something plus degrees plus humidity during the day. I assume it was a similar vibe when you were there just now.
Yeah. And we also were kind of like half hoping that COVID would drive a lot of people away, but then they opened the park.
This was my big question to you. Yeah, it's like open fully now, right?
Pretty much.
You guys landed the plane right in that spot where they like the week before they had announced it.
Yeah, we grabbed tickets, right, because a couple weeks before, and then and we had masks ready. We wore masks in line and stuff like that, but pretty much no one wore masks anywhere else.
Yeah, it's the South.
Yeah. And dude, I was pretty surprised.
You drove to Florida.
I was pretty surprised at which, like in some states, like it was still pretty normal to wear masks. Right. And in some states, it was like totally unheard of. And I was like surprised, like Kentucky was one of the states that lots of people were still wearing masks. And then
I had the same thought. I just had gone to Kentucky for a bachelor party a couple weeks ago, and you go to Tennessee, nobody's wearing a mask. Like not one person was wearing a mask. Like even the clerks behind the whatever. But Kentucky, like everybody in Kentucky was wearing a mask.
Yeah, it was pretty wild.
Give it up for Kentucky. Pleasantly surprised.
Yeah. We should add some fake applause at that moment.
I just give real applause.
In post.
Should just give it. Oh.
Yeah. Well, good. It sounds like you guys had a good time.
Yeah.
I'm glad you got to do that.
It was good.
That's super rad.
Nobody's mad that you delayed the show. It's totally fine. I'm kidding.
So that's not good enough. You're gonna do it in 2 weeks.
Today is gonna be a super ska-tastic show. So instead of the usual rounds, what I actually want to go over today, the first things first. Let me sip on this a little bit.
Slow it down.
3 listeners literally just turned off the episode because of that.
Listen, if it's episode 9, you know what the deal is already. Chris,
the fact that he doesn't have a granola bar is actually the reason why he might stay.
We are out of granola bars. It's a real problem right now. So by the end of this, my tum is just going to be like. What I want to know, Chris, is give me your background, your experience, your take on ska. What has it played in your life? Give me some of your favorite ska bands. Tell me where's ska sitting on the spectrum for you?
Yeah, you know what's funny? In one of the articles that we read for today, I always thought of myself as like not really a ska person.
Oh, I totally think you're a ska person.
I love ska, don't get me wrong. I absolutely love ska, but like I'm sort of the bandwagon ska person. I feel like as I tell people that really dig ska what bands I listen to, they're like, okay, great, Real Big Fish and Mad Caddies and Mustard Plug and what are you already shaking?
No, that was the third wave, dude. That's like as ska as it gets.
I know, but like, there's like we got like a family friend who I don't know what radio station, but every Sunday night he plays like a ska playlist, and it's all like the Ska-lites and like
I hear what you're saying.
ska.
I hear what you're
and
saying.
every time I'm like, oh, I love ska. I listen to like RBF or whatever, and he's like, that's not really ska. You're not listening to real ska. And this might go to some of Dane's aggression later on, but during high school, I was the only one of my friends that like listened to ska, younger generation, before we became friends with Dane and Dave and all them. But the only ones that listened to ska, like everyone was listening to NoFX and more like actually faster punk rock, and I just kind of dipped over and started listening to ska more, so which led to me wearing obnoxious things to school on a daily basis. But I've been around for it. I'm basically like your quintessential third wave ska fan.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. So besides, you would say it was like Real Big Fish is like the big one for you?
Real Big Fish was the one that got me in there, and then went right into, because I think the first tour I saw was Real Big Fish.
Very much your first tour. I was there for that one.
He was there. Real Big Fish, Goldfinger. I think Zebrahead opened up for all of them.
I remember vividly missing this show and being really upset, and then seeing this like annoying little troop of freshmen in high school wearing like the shirts every day.
That was us,
like,
baby.
Fuck those guys. They got to go. I know it was you.
That was us, baby.
I remember vividly, though, not going and being really bummed, and then seeing you twerps wearing those shirts and being like, son of a bitch. Who are these assholes?
Chris, wasn't it the Golden Fish Hidden Finger?
Yeah.
Yes, that's exactly right. What's so funny is they're like a lot of people you talk about our generation, they remember that show either going or not going. But it still sticks out to everybody in their mind. And then that led to like Catch-22 and Streetlight Manifesto and like all of but Real Big Fish was sort of the
catalyst for you.
The tip over into Why Do We Rock So Hard and Sell Out. But anyway,
Dane, same question. Give the folks a little bit of your background with ska. Chris, you forgot one important aspect of ska that you and Dane share. But
because Dane pushed me into lockers when we were in high school for wearing Real Big Fish shirt.
I am that kind of bully, yeah.
Look at him. You look like one of the bad guys in Mike Tyson's Punch-Out, and you're pushing kids into lockers.
Thought you were gonna say like he looks like the principal from Back to the Future, bullying Marty McFly.
Bullying McFly.
Same question, Dane. Give the folks a little bit of your background with ska. Where is it sitting with your musical history? Give me some of your favorite bands. Where are you with ska?
Yeah, I'll try it because I really like ska music, and I'm kind of a ska apologist, and
yeah, I'm pretty sure you
are.
I don't know why I eat breakfast before.
I feel like the third wave started literally right as I was discovering music. So I was like I remember going to like soccer practice on this awful travel team that I was on. By which I mean they were really good, and I felt like an imposter on the team. And listening,
the team down.
Yeah, and listening to No Doubt and Real Big Fish and the Boss Tones playing on Q101 and being like, what is this? And thinking it was really cool and liking it and stuff. And I was just kind of leaving like my post-grunge phase and like moving into punk rock a little bit. And I would soon discover Blink-182 and all that. And so like I feel like, and I remember hearing like hearing Goldfinger and enjoying Goldfinger, but not really being able to lump it with these other bands yet, because mostly it was like, I guess Here in Your Bedroom was really popular. And
makes sense.
Yeah, and that was a pretty ska-y song, but I didn't really recognize the ska-y part yet. I was just the chorus that I recognized as being more punky.
Right.
And I don't know, I guess just as I was getting into music, I was sort of discovering, I was slowly kind of like going into that rabbit hole, because like you didn't have Spotify. It just sounds, obviously we didn't have Spotify and streaming or like digital music, so I feel like we slowly it trickled in. I remember when we discovered Less Than Jake, that felt like a big deal. And when we discovered Catch-22, my brother and I were on vacation. That felt like a big deal, like a real discovery. When we got into high school, Dave Schwannis, our friend, and a few other kids in school kind of introduced me to a bunch of other bands like Dancehall Crashers was one I got from Dave. That became a favorite at the time. And Save Ferris, it took me a while to discover them, but they became like a favorite. And there's just like lots. Oh, and then there's this one time.
I know this story.
We went to a
different story.
It might be a different story. We went to we heard that Tony Hawk was at the Warped Skate Park. You guys know this story?
Yeah.
And we accidentally saw one of Rise Against's first shows.
Yeah.
And we were like, that looks like the guitar player from 88 Fingers Louie, but that band's broken up. I wonder who this band is. And then Tony Hawk rode down like the stairs of the Warp Skate Park on somebody else's back, and we're like,
that's so awesome.
We're like, fuck him, who cares, who's this band? And so then this other band played.
You weren't a skater though.
No, not at all. But all my friends were though.
Yeah, that would have been a huge deal.
For some reason, all of our friends' girlfriends who were on the Palms dance team were performing there for him. That's a weird part of the story. But anyway, after...
I think you're going to bring down Tony Hawk.
After Rise Against, this other band... This other band set up... Shut up. I'm in the middle of my story.
Oh, sorry.
This other band played that was like one of the most amazing bands I'd ever seen. And as they were a ska band, but like really weird and really heavy. And as they were playing, I started recognizing some of the songs as this band called Hot Stove Jimmy. And they're like a local Chicago ska band. And man, they blew me away.
So put a time limit on this guy.
Shut up. I'm trying to say, like, I also started getting into weird, obscure kind of ska bands, like the Blue Meanies and Hot Stove Jimmy were like these.
That's what I was gonna say. You're into some of those more obscure ska stuff.
Yeah, I got into the really weird stuff, and so when I joined, I kind of half started, half joined this band called Captain Supreme. When I was in high school, we started as more of a straight ska band that went down a little bit of a louder road. And we would like go and see like Deals Gone Bad in Chicago, and we'd go and see all these other ska bands. I don't know. I got pretty into it to the point where even after that wave crashed, like I've been really big into Big D and the Kids Table, and we'd play. First Grade Crush too. Like is another local band that we got really into. I don't know. I'm just saying like.
Do you remember Slim Jim Conspiracy?
Oh hell yeah, I do.
Yeah, those guys were rad.
Man, if they're listening,
obscure local ska bands. Yeah,
shout out.
And like Dave Schwannis and I made this like in college this like website where we just tried to get all the ska bands from the Midwest to like join a site and kind of a collective, like we called it the Midwest Ska Collective. And
very much in theme with what we're going to be talking about today.
Yeah. I guess what I'm getting at is like this. I was sort of the guy who wore checkerboard, like my backpack still has like the checkerboard on it from high school. But like I also, I obviously listen to lots of other kind of music, and I feel like other kinds of music define my identity a bit more. But I mean, I'm a pretty big ska guy. Yeah.
Speaking of ska bands, you guys are in a ska band, if I'm not mistaken.
We are in a ska band, but we are currently, and have been for quite some time, letting down the leader of that ska band. So
awkward conversation for the podcast.
We got to mull over that very.
Guys, he's in town now.
I know.
We won't be able to dodge this much longer. Although, I have to admit, my drum tracks not getting recorded.
What's the name of your ska band?
Grave Danger. Yeah.
And what is Grave Danger?
We're a skoth band.
What is a skoth band?
Like goth and ska.
That sounds pretty cool. Is there something people can check out if they want to hear?
I think it's it was a Grave Danger Skoth .bandcamp or
music.
I don't know. Let me look it up.
Cool. While he's looking it up, I'll let him.
Yeah, Grave Danger Skoth is the Instagram handle, and gravedangerskoth.bandcamp.com.
So check out Grave Danger if you want to hear some melded goth and ska. Cool. Here's a Captain Supreme story. What?
Huh? Oh, I was gonna say, what about yourself? You're gonna.
Yeah. Here's a Captain Supreme story. So.
Oh yeah, that's right.
So Captain Supreme was looking for a new guitar player, and somehow they found my name. I auditioned. I didn't audition well.
No. Okay. Can you tell your part of the story?
No, I didn't audition well, I guess. And so I did not get the position. That was Dane's band, the one I'm sitting with right now. I did not get in his band. They didn't tell me. I had to call Dave and be like, "Hey man, did I get that?" No. And I was like, "Cool. Can I have my guitar back?" And he's like, "Oh yeah, come and get it." So I had to go over to Dave's house where the entire band was sitting in his bedroom, and I had to step over everybody to grab my guitar. "I'll see you guys out. Okay, bye." And that was my position in a ska band.
Yeah, good. That's a good. I completely.
It's traumatized me, and
I actually think. Did it really?
But I've let it go. I've let it go.
Listen,
I'm good.
We were really close to having you in that band, and then,
so close.
and then Dave was like, "Wait a minute, I can play guitar. Why don't I just play in this band?" And we're like,
"Great,
yeah, I guess that makes sense. You know all the songs, don't you?" But we were pretty. I don't know. We were having a hard time with our guitar player.
Do you hear this lies? Everybody?
These aren't lies. Ask Dave. We had a lot of Taco Bell conversations that involved that weird kid whose guitar we apparently still had. What kind of guitar was that? Was that Dot? Was it that Epiphone?
No, that was my it was just a Strat that got stolen out of Chris's guitar, and I'm over that too, and it's fine, and nobody's.
It did get stolen out of my car, not my guitar, but I completely forgot about that because I think the next week I had band practice with Dave and was like, is Josh playing in Cab Supreme? He's like, no. I'm gonna play all the songs, and I was like, oh,
cool.
Yeah, it was a bit.
He's not sad, but and everybody's fine. And it's 2021, and it's fine. It's no big deal.
It's been like 15 years.
It's been like 15
We've
years.
Never talked about that, and it's funny that.
And that band broke up like a year later anyway.
Very soon after.
Because we didn't really have a guitar player. I mean, we did, but
imagine what that band could have done with a organizing, leading presence that is Josh Marcanti. So ska in my life, very similar to Chris and Dane's, to go fast here. I kind of hopped on board with Real Big Fish. Same thing like Catch-22, Less Than Jake, Goldfinger, Mad Caddies was a huge one for me.
That Duck and Cover record.
Oh my God.
Ugh.
I would say that of the three of us, I am probably the least ska-y guy here. And it's not because I dislike it, because I actually really do like it. But for me, I was kind of trying to think about like how, for me, it's like I need it's like frosting. Like I need it in the summer. I need like a taste of it. Otherwise, I'm gonna get a stomach ache. But I really do love ska.
I was gonna say, are you saying ska makes you sick?
No, like it's like. My ears get like fatigue, like ska fatigue quick. So like I can't listen to like hours and hours of ska. I kind of get in and I'm like, oh, that's good, and I'll move on to like the next record, the next genre. But that isn't to say like there are all-time ska records that for me that I will hold up on my tops forever. Some Real Big Fish, some Less Than Jake's. Forever top records.
You guys got into RX Bandits and stuff too, right?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, because that Progress album came out right when I was in high school, and that one became like a...
But like almost, just probably
100%.
more like Chris, almost no like first and second wave ska. Like if I hear some more of that stuff, it's like it doesn't really appeal to me. But third wave is like my home base. So that's going to kind of take us into...
didn't you guys like play as like a Rancid cover band too? Didn't you play like Out Come the Wolves and all of that?
Yeah, we did.
Because I would consider that a third wave ska album too, right? Wouldn't you?
I would say it's more on the punk side. I would say there's ska songs in there that kind of have the ska like up tempo stuff, but
there's definitely ska core, like half this, Time Bomb. Time Bomb is all ska chords and stuff like that.
Listen, Ruby Soho is just poppy punk, right? All right.
But they have each one of their records have like a pick it up kind of song.
I do think it's odd that none of the things that we've read talked about Op Ivy for some reason. I thought that was a very
Let's get to it. So
fight.
Today's article is going to be brought to us by the AV Club. If emo can be rehabbed, why not ska? So,
I feel like I read 4 articles.
Yeah, we read a lot of them. This is a collective of articles.
Yeah, I have to link out one, so that's the one I'm going to link out for today. But the conversation can be kind of all encompassing. Emo and pop punk are definitely having a moment. I think we kind of talked about that last show, if I'm not mistaken. And
all comes back to TikTok.
And so ska. Especially as described in the article, is closely tied to punk. A lot of the same ideology, kind of fuck the man, DIY mentality. They're very intertwined, always have been. Well, I should say third wave. I'm not sure about second and first because, again, that's not my home base. But, so what's happening online is there's something for everybody. And much like emo and pop punk having a revival, when you're right there with the one, you can be right there with ska. And, if TikTok and YouTube can have this new, refreshed, call it maybe a fourth wave presence online, do we think that there's an opportunity here does it make sense for ska to come back? Dane?
Yeah. First of all, by the way, in the article, they specifically take umbrage with the language of fourth wave because there was some argument that it shouldn't. It's not going to crash at some point, so we can't call it. They called it late third wave, which we're in the middle of it, like
fourth.
Intent, yeah, it seems
fourth.
so odd.
I mean, and it's just, and when we talk about waves, it's really not like it is rise and falls of popularity. With probably third being the most popular, I would say, or the most, coming in during the height of the. When, like the article talked about, like when Green Day and Offspring were selling platinum records, ska was kind of this little part to the side and also being very successful. But yeah, I mean, the wave coming and going with popularity, you could easily call what could be happening here a fourth incoming wave.
Nope.
I like Dane going, and I think what should happen is it should be an open discussion. Yeah. Rather than like an opinion.
Yeah.
But I think Dane's going to drive it.
Well,
let's go.
I want to preface what I'm saying with a complete and utter awareness that I feel like the old guy that's like, no, you don't know what you're talking about. And like that.
It happens to you a lot.
I don't want to, yeah, I know. And I feel like this.
Yeah, I know.
I feel like this gatekeeper mentality is totally toxic and counterproductive and awful. But there's a side to this revival thing.
Big old butt coming.
That really irritates me. And I don't.
Why?
And it's sort of hard to explain. But a lot of it comes from, I mean, like if we wanted to first start with debating the fourth wave thing, like there's a few new ska bands out there that are kind of under the radar that are doing cool things, right?
Isn't that always the case though? There's always
So if it's a fourth wave, tell me, who are the big bands that are breaking out?
I would say that the argument is not that we are in a fourth wave. I think the argument is that there could be a fourth wave.
Right. But this is part of my issue is like right now there are a bunch of really cool ska bands. Half Past Two is a really good example of a cool ska band that's doing some really cool stuff. That's like not necessarily a new band. They've been around for a while, but they're getting kind of a new sort of popularity. Bite Me Bambi is another one. Half of that band is Save Ferris, like the original lineup, and they have like a new singer. Yeah, and they're great. Although they haven't released a ton of music, and that's kind of part of the. There's a lot of these. Oh, and I think we've talked. Be Like Max is another really great band. There's a few other ones out there, but they're not the ones mentioned in like these ska comeback articles. The same artists are mentioned over and over again. And some of them I really have a hard time with. For example, in this like AV Club article, that if emo could be rehabbed, why not ska? Right on the very front, there's 4 pictures. There's Jeff Rosenstock, who's famous for Bomb the Music Industry, but kind of left ska behind, so he can do more of a solo thing. Except with the big exception. There's Jer, who's been doing the like Ska Tune Network thing and plays in We Are the Union. The dude from Fishbone, I think his name is Angelo something, right?
Angelo Moore.
Yeah, the fact that I didn't know that off the top of my head is annoying. And then Laura Stevenson, who, let's be clear, has never had any ska in her solo career at all. If she's contributed to ska at all, it's been like on part of a like she's friends with Jeff Rosenstock, so maybe sang on a couple of on the music industry records or something like that. But and that image just as like captures the vibe of the whole article, which seems like an in-depth article, but just also seems tone deaf. It's like doesn't understand like how do we get into this article and not mention like any of the like any third wave ska bands, any of
hold on, that's not true. They totally talked about third wave. Really
right, there's like a quick history. There's a quick history, but like I feel like right now the wave of ska is more. It's like a weird. This is what I knew was going to happen. I'd be sitting down here and I wouldn't be able to articulate this.
So mad.
I know. Well, it's not like I'm mad. It's just sort of I feel like ska's been kind of it's been reduced to a quick article or a quick TikTok video that people can kind of laugh at.
In its entire existence, that's true.
Well, I was gonna say that's ska. That's been off to the side. The whole
that's happening now is the fact that it's on TikTok, and TikTok's the new way of receiving information.
The whole conceit of the article is that ska has been relegated to the side for forever. That's the conceit of the article.
Right, but saying that it's having its comeback and stuff seems to imply that there's something happening with the music, and I think there is. I think that the third wave kind of crashed.
So we're good.
And people are like, oh, okay, maybe it's all right to like ska. Because when I was in my ska band in high school and in college, we'd go to like booking websites.
Is that the one? That's the one I auditioned for?
That would be.
Okay, got it.
We'd go to like websites like Book Your Own Fucking Life and stuff to try to like book shows, and they would say no ska. You know what I mean? Like being like the backlash post third wave was very like. I don't want to say like make it seem like I was a victim of some sort of like harassment or something.
Here we go. We've had a breakthrough. We've had a breakthrough, folks.
Yeah. The truth is though, is like
victim.
The truth is like ska was really kind of like a dirty word for a while, and now I feel like it's coming back just for a quick little blah, 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 blah. Like here's a couple of humorous viral videos. Well, here's a couple of and it doesn't feel like substantial. It kind of annoys me.
There's a quote from the article that Jur Hunter had put out. It said that along that line, Dane, it said, in Jur Hunter's eyes, hang up about ska is an older generation's problem. A lot of people made it a personality trait to be too cool for ska. The kids and the people in their 20s now are listening to the music, and they don't really understand why people hated ska in the first place. So, and I think, to me, that really summarized the counter argument to what you're saying, which is like it used to be so not cool, and you were a victim, and we all heard that word, victim.
He did say victim
more than once, I think, and now what I think gives me hope for a fourth wave is that it's not necessarily so much that like it's going to be super popular again, but that like those who hated it, Book Your Own Fucking Life said no ska, are gone. I mean, they're not relevant to popular music now. So kids are just hopping onto TikTok and YouTube and seeing ska come out for the first time in their life, and they're like, I don't know what this is. I'm just into it.
Yeah, I want to make 2 points here. The first is that I wonder if, and Dane, maybe you can say this, being an educator of the youth, is it still a thing to pass judgment on people's music?
Oh, that's a good question.
Because I feel like for our generation, it was like, you like what?
Yeah.
Get the fuck
fucking poser.
But now, because there's so much available to everyone, one, I don't think it's as easy to go like, you're a ska person. It's like, I like ska, but I also like all this other
like, do
stuff.
people identify as like I'm an emo, I'm a goth, I'm a ska? Yeah, like, is that a thing?
And if they do other people in genres adjacent hold that against them?
Oh, I don't know. I don't think that genre is as important.
This
is what he's saying. Yeah.
Okay. That's so interesting to me.
That is interesting.
Like, I wonder if it is just an older person thing that we grew up without having availability from the internet in terms of like ubiquitous music tastes. And because the kids that are now do, they're less like rigid about the lines they draw in the sand.
But I might argue.
I'm hypothesizing.
It's a
right.
question, yeah.
No, and it's really interesting because I did talk to one of my students about some of this stuff a bit, and so I don't think they like identify so much with the genre of music, although some people do. Like there are some kids that only wear like Asking Alexandra shirts and stuff, like, and there are some people who, you know, are really into like classic rock. I have this one student who's got all kinds of like cool enamel pins on their like backpack, because they're, you know, they go and see Masked Intruder, and they've gone and seen like these really cool kind of bands and stuff, like they're in it. But I also think, like, generally speaking, they're not as interested in what's, like, their community is more an online community. Like, the community they identified,
I know what you mean.
The identity they identify with is more of an online thing and less of a people around them thing. Like, their friend group might be a little bit more diverse, but they're, if they're identifying with anything like we did with punk rock, it wouldn't be in person, and thus they may not feel the need to post, or they may not need to feel the need to wear a band's shirt or something.
Would you say would it be accurate to say like it's less tribal?
Yeah, I would say
overall.
So.
Because we didn't have an online experience. It was all offline. So
just thinking too, like
so you just look around and you're like, these guys are punk and I am punk, and like that was it, you know.
Yeah, if you think of shows in the small, medium, and version size, the small version is all but completely gone away. Like where clashes and opinions like that would happen at Warp or something like that, or like, you know, great VFW halls and shit like that. Like those clashes between like ska kids and punk rock kids would happen more often. Now when you're going to the metro to see shows, there's not as much availability for those clashes to happen. So my second point that I wanted to bring up is like I'm like a
cool guy,
somewhere in the middle of like, I love ska, but I'm not like Dane's level of loving ska or involved in ska or obsession with ska. I feel like I never once felt anything about people hating ska. I don't understand how people can hate ska. I certainly don't understand how people can have an opinion about people hating ska, which seems like a problem from the inside to me rather than a problem from the outside. Like people that listen to ska are like, are really into ska, are like ska purists, and they have an opinion about ska, and ska should be this and not that or whatever. But at the end of the day, it's ska music, so it's like this should really not be we shouldn't be having a very serious conversation about the music that we're listening to, because it's ska. Like you put it on to feel good, have a great time, and then arguing about it seems so like dilutive to the idea of listening to ska music.
See, I'll tell you, I'll because I just want to relate it directly what you said, Chris, to the article, like the hate on it. It's, you know, the article said, as a culture, we tend to be skeptical of lighthearted things. We love to be entertained by people who act like their craft is slowly killing them. The combination of ska music's effusive, nerdy joy and goofy sense of humor can be off-putting to some people. And I think that's what the whole case always was, that like it was cool to be punk rock and cool to be angry and cool to be, and like if you would see these kids skanking and actually having a good time, it was like, meh. I fully disagree with that. I don't, you know, that's why I love ska. But I think that's where it comes from.
I think there's another side to this, and this is where I'm going to try to take one more stab at trying to verbalize my discomfort at punk or at ska's kind of like.
This has become Dane's
trend. Well, so here's the thing. I've been feeling this for a long time. Like I've been feeling this slow build of ska kind of coming back for a long time, and so
it is coming back.
I mean, I feel like people know what ska is, and there's been a lot of like acceptance of ska again, and there's been references to ska being thrown around. I think if you follow like the there's that documentary you guys follow, the ska documentary, Ska in the 90s or whatever.
Yeah.
They're kind of a cool page to follow, and Ska Punk Daily is like this too. But they've been posting how like there are references in cartoons and in like movies that have come out to ska stuff recently. And it's kind of fun, and they're like quick little things, but it's sort of there to kind of as like a person in the know, kind of like winking to another person in the know. It's kind of funny. So I think ska has this obvious goofy side. And I like Jeff Rosenstock's quote in the article that sort of talks about like, if you can't take, like you have to kind of make it about both of these things. Like it's got to be serious and not serious at the same time. He says, if you're making music where it feels like you're trying to deliberately say something serious, I think that you lose the other side of that coin and it doesn't hit as hard. That dynamic energy and emotion, that's something that's pretty underappreciated in ska music. I think that the music industry is a great example of that, but there's some really serious, like Less Than Jake songs. And there's some pretty serious...
hard-hitting, yeah.
I mean, like, ska started as a political thing, right? I think we'll be talking about a slightly more serious, slightly ska album in just a moment. But, like, the RX Bandits, I think, are a great example of... a lot of their music was really political. And, I mean, all of their music was kind of political and personal. Like, so, for that reason, I think the thing that sort of bothers me is, like, ska's been a thing that's existed for a while. It's got this kind of interesting, complex history. And there have been some really vocal people on the internet that maybe they've known about ska for a really long time, but they're talking about ska like they're sort of like this authority. They're like, well, let me tell you everything that there is to know about ska. And I feel like this mentality of like, well, I'm on the internet and you're here watching me, so I have, I'm going to tell you all about the rich history of this thing that you don't know about in a 30-second video on TikTok so you can, know all about it. I feel like what's happened is like what...
Or on a podcast.
Well, I know. I'm not totally like...
What are you doing right now?
Right, I'm totally aware of that, but I'm not trying to necessarily tell people everything that there is to know about ska, or why they should like ska, or why ska people, should only wear checkerboard stuff because it becomes part of your identity, which is, I think, a weird, I feel like ska's become memed, is, I think, part of this. It's been sort of reduced to its most visible and superficial elements, so it can be shared quickly and widely. Thus, it can be both a joke that people snicker at, and also a gateway into a whole style of music. Where, like,
and you have a problem with the gateway part, like the fact that it is snippable. And
it sounds like you have a problem with the reduction.
I don't have a problem with people discovering ska music, not at all. I have a problem with it becoming a thing that that's reduced, to something superficial and stupid, like a meme with a bunch of checkerboard things and saying this is how ska people dress, and then because honest to goodness.
Isn't every single genre memeable?
Yes, but ska's particularly memeable, and that's to me sort of problematic.
More than like
emo or like
or
emo,
like hair metal 80s.
But hair metal in 80s isn't memed quite the same way. I don't think.
In order, I think emo is probably the thing that gets memed and is the most memeable. I find it hard to believe that ska would be anywhere on that.
But I'm saying that it is. Like there's a lot of... Like, the same ska joke has gone viral. And, from that one stupid episode of Portlandia or whatever. And the same, the same stupid, video clips, the same... and the fact that, honestly... I just think taking a bunch of... I feel like the whole Ska-Tune Network thing is kind of, I don't know, cheesy to me.
Easy.
I mean, and I'm not trying to say, he's an amazing artist. I just... And I think, a lot of people have discovered ska because they're like, oh, here's a song by this contemporary emo band that I think is really cool. There's a ska version of it now, and this one's fun and quirky. I think, all of a sudden, ska has become, in some people's heads, that's either a gateway or it's defined ska as something that's kind of quirky and kind of fun, and it's an aesthetic that I can use, it's a like it's a Instagram filter almost that I can, for a couple of weeks this summer, I can be kind of really into ska, and then move on and go back to my SoundCloud rap that I'm into. And
yeah, it's almost like taking oldie songs and making them more rock and roll.
I'm feeling this like very inherent like opposite response to everything you're saying right now.
Yeah.
Like literally everything.
I understand.
Where I'm like, yes, it's memeable, but that's okay.
It
and like,
probably is.
And like, if someone gets into ska for the summer, okay.
And that, I'm like, listen,
and like,
I need to make this really clear.
They're not hurting anybody.
Like, okay, they're not almost 40 and listening to ska still. That's okay.
I want to be really clear though. Like, I'm really not against people discovering ska. Like, this is something. Like,
no,
this is
the
kind of music that's so personal to me. I want more people to find it, but I also want. But then when I want them to find it, I want them to find the music and not just find a couple of songs that they really like because they saw it in a TikTok video and then.
I think your high level perspective of like here's this like an internet presence, meme or whatever, or TikTok or whatever. Yes, that's super high level, but I think you're also not taking into account that like some of those people are going to filter down and go like, okay, and read an article or follow the TikToker who's like, here's ska in 30 seconds. You're discounting those people who are like then are going to follow the trail and go like, oh, here, oh, here, oh, here. I mean, we don't know that that's not happening.
Sure.
I think
I'd rather see that internet exposure. I'd rather see, like, oh, we laugh at it, and like I'd rather see it get exposed than not.
This feels like a perfect storm of things that Dane doesn't like.
Maybe.
Sounds like Dane, you sound like Chris, like hardcore, but
normally I'm much more the one. But Dane, what this feels like is that you're being defensive over the genre.
Yes.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
What I think, and because it's a podcast, I feel like some of my opinions are being amplified to feel more like.
Of course.
But the truth is like what I would. So at the very end of the book that I wrote, that I'm trying to get published right now.
What's the name of that book?
Oh, I'm not getting into that right now because it might change. My character is really into ska, and he goes to a concert and is like skanking with a bunch of kids, and I feel like, and then he like goes on stage, and it's kind of like this cool moment, and it's like this moment that for me is like really important in the book because it's like the climax of the whole book. But it was fun to write because I kind of found the meaning in something as stupid as skanking. And I have these like really vivid memories of going and seeing like MU330 at like the Fireside. And like becoming instant friends with all of the people around me because of this music, And so to take ska and reduce it to something that could go viral quickly and let it spread is totally a great thing because it gets people to awareness of a style of music that maybe they didn't have before. But on the flip side, it also reduces it to kind of like a quick and easy joke. Like, making a joke about skanking is quick and easy, and it's a thing you can laugh at and move on about. But in a weird way, like someone who's never skanked at a Catch-22 show at the Metro doesn't understand like the experience that goes along with like the weird ability to bond with other people through like a ridiculous style of dancing. If that makes any sense.
I just want to close this out real quick by saying that this is an odd place for you to be, Dane.
I agree.
Of all the places, you are apparently 9 times out of 10, not 10 times out of 10, the person that defends the idea of getting into whatever you want to get into, however you want to get into it. Very extremely open-minded in that way. found something where you literally sound like an elitist. You're like, you haven't skanked at an MU330 show, therefore
I'm coming off the wrong way then.
Hold on a second. I'm not trying to boil down your entire thing. That's not what I'm trying to do. My point is to put the extreme up on the board as a way of showing you what you normally are, which is you're normally like, hey man, if you found this YouTube video of people doing this thing and you start digging it, awesome. But right now you're like, you found and again, I'm doing it hyperbole for the sake of the argument. You're like, you're in it for the wrong reason. And that seems like so antithetical to the way that you know.
What I think I want to get across is like, what I want is for bands like Be Like Max and like Half Past Two to be riding on the wave right now, and they're not. And maybe they're enjoying some more marginal success, but they're not. Not like Cartoon Network, right? And I want these people to see someone skanking on TikTok, and instead of laughing at it, to go to a show and try it. Like, I guess what I'm getting at is not like I feel like when things are reduced to a meme, it's consumed and we throw it away. And that's not what I want to happen here. So I think that's more my thesis statement.
And that's great. I want you to know that some of those people are. And you should just enjoy the fact that 1 out of 500 of those people that see the meme are like, what is this thing?
Yeah.
What should I look at?
You're right.
When you're right, fam.
Good.
I'm not going to say anything more. I think Dana, I think your point has come across with how you feel about it and your sensitivities. And
so sensitive.
And I also agree with Chris as well here, where it's like, ska's always ska's always going to be in the margins, and hopefully we do see that fourth wave.
I think we're going to find ourselves in another argument.
I know.
With the review of
we do have to.
But I might.
We do have to move along a little bit here.
I might soften a bit more than you think here.
Do you guys know what's that thing that happens in language when you say a word too many times? Semantic sumpsation, you know what I'm talking about, where you like say the word spoon too much and you forget what a spoon is? That's happening. That's happening with the word ska right now. I'm forgetting what the word ska is.
We didn't even talk about Ska Dream, did we? Damn it.
No.
I wanted to at least slide it in there.
I know. And by the way, I really do like Cartoon Network. I did check it out, and as a guy who covers stuff for the sake of getting it out there, I really did like it. Anyway, on to our record review for the day. Today we're going to be talking about the new record from the band We Are the Union, Ordinary Life.
Why don't you go first, John?
Me? Okay. I really like this record. It still slots to me for in that spot of like, I only want so much of it. I only want so much ska. But as far as like I don't have any prior experience with this band. So this was my first kind of dive into these guys.
Yeah, me too.
So that being said, when I started listening and started hearing some of the influences that they were wearing on their sleeve, I was like, oh, okay. There were like things that I was picking up on. I definitely heard some like, you can hear the ska obviously, but like I heard like some like Motion City soundtrack a little bit. I heard different 2021 versions of ska with different influences on there. So I appreciated them in some ways doing some new things with it. I didn't hear too much new, but I heard enough new that I actually really did like it. It was, for me, I was listening to it while I was outside and I was working in my backyard. So it felt very summery to me, which was great. Like I was really like, oh, this is getting me like, I'm happy. I'm in a good place as you want to be with ska. Took a deeper dive and,
not Dane.
Sorry, not sorry.
Took a deeper dive after I heard, it's called
Boys Will Be Girls.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, oh, okay, now we're saying something. What are we saying? And found out that the lead singer is, please don't get this wrong. I think transgender. I think.
Yeah,
or at least identifies as a woman. I was reading some articles and I forget her name.
Reed.
So Reed. Okay. And I was like, oh, that's really, and along those 2021 vibes, like, hey, ska can be inclusive for all the weirdos and all the
ska should be inclusive.
All
the genres, right?
That's what I'm saying. Like let's get the weirdos in there skanking and having a good time and let's get that real scene positivity in there. And so I definitely vibed on that, and that actually sunk me in a little bit more too. Once I started taking a deeper dive, I really liked Morbid Obsessions. I thought it was a really, really great song. So yeah, I actually really liked this record. And I will definitely be listening more to it. Dane, where are you at?
So I actually have a really long history with this band. Like, I've been into We Are the Union since for maybe more than maybe more than a decade. I discovered them because they were on Paper and Plastic a long time ago, and I remember when I discovered them, I was like on that back end of some server on Paper and Plastic's label, because I was writing an article about them, and I discovered their album there, and I was like, whoa, this is like awesome Less Than Jake kind of stuff. And
yeah, I'd say that too.
Yeah, their first couple records are amazing. They're like faster punk kind of stuff with a little bit more of a ska flair. And then they sort of slowed down for a while. There's a song on one of their albums just before they slowed down. It's kind of like two songs put together that, I don't know, really resonated with me. And then they released a record a few years ago called Self Care that I wasn't really that into. And I went back and listened to it over the weekend and sort of remembered why I didn't like it. And I think so much of the subject matter of that album was like about like anxiety and depression and kind of feeling addicted to your phone. And it just felt so like, it kind of reminded me of like this sort of thing that's out there about like sort of being really open about your mental health, and sort of like, I don't know who needs to hear this, but it's okay not to be okay. And this sort of thing that sort of annoyed me about like the internet having to tell people, like a random stranger on the internet telling you like it's going to be okay, and like finding validation on the internet. And it's something about that record just sort of felt like, I was like, the subject matter is too much. So when I saw that this record was coming out, and one of the singles was Boys Will Be Girls, and that Reed had come out as a transgender woman, I was like, oh man, this is going to be another record that like I'm just going to feel like isn't for me. Because Self Care felt like it wasn't for me, because I was not like struggling with mental health.
You're not struggling, like you're
right.
Okay.
I felt and I also felt like I didn't need somebody to tell me that it's okay not to be okay. Like,
you didn't need that like catharsis.
I know that.
Yeah.
Like, I don't need a stranger on the internet or a stranger on a record to tell me that either. And so I was really worried that this record would feel kind of like I'm cisgendered, and I don't need anyone to tell me that it's okay to be transgendered, like, and that, it's okay to be you. Like, I already know these things, and I think, like, the fact that Reed came out so boldly on this record is an awesome thing. You know what I mean? Yeah. But I don't need the content. So I was really surprised when I was finding myself loving this record more than I liked the other We Are the Union records. I think when they get into a ska groove, they really hit it. Sure. Like Morbid Obsessions, but even the other single, Ordinary Life. Well, I don't know if I think Ordinary Life was a single. Ordinary Life, though, is just, that's a great jam. All of these songs, like the first, I also liked, I thought I wouldn't be all that into kind of dissecting the lyrics, because I thought that maybe, again, not for the white cisgender dude, right? This is an album for someone else, and that's okay, probably. But I found myself really trying to find the story of this person trying to claim who they are a little bit. Like, the first song starts in January, and then the last song is in December. And it feels, I know I might be misinterpreting it, but it feels like a year of going back and forth and struggling with your identity. There's a lot of the use of pronouns in this album is really interesting because there's a lot of like you, but the you seems to be talking about like another side of her identity. And like she's talking to another person within her. And I don't know if I'm overanalyzing it, but I came around to it because I thought it was pretty well done. I thought at the end of the day, it didn't feel like preaching. I didn't feel like somebody was telling me like, fuck That's you, what, trans lives matter. Because I know that. I don't need someone to tell me that. I do think Boys Will Be Girls came off a little too strong. It's not my favorite song in the album. I feel like there's also a lot of like there's Short Circuit and Broken Brain both came across as mental health songs again that I felt a little like more of this. But man, Big River was another one of my favorites. It's a slower kind of like ska jam, but I really thought like having a really super distorted bass line was super cool. Like I feel like at the end of the day there I found myself identifying with a lot of the lyrics, even though Reed is a really different person than me. And these songs are in some ways a really personal journey that don't resemble my life at all. But I found myself connecting with a lot of it. So yeah, at the end of the day, I was surprised at how much I liked this record, having been kind of lukewarm on some of Weird Union's more recent stuff.
The only quick counterpoint I want to make to the like Boys Will Be Girls kind of being heavy-handed is, you know, for somebody who is new, this is their first entry into the band. I was okay just from that perspective. I was okay with it, and maybe Chris will say something similar, but I was okay with it because to me it was like that made me kind of go like, oh wait, what are we talking about here? Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? For them to be very very heavy-handed, very on the nose, very apparent with what they're trying to say, that made me go like, oh, this is more than just ska here. Mm-hmm, but
I agree. So maybe somebody who doesn't know the backstory of this record.
This is what I'm saying.
Yeah, and there's you know, even the album artwork kind of hints to some of this stuff. There's some good subject. There's some like repetition of gardens and graveyards and stuff throughout this, and it's repeated on the album cover too. I feel like if you miss some of these more subtle cues, that song kind of takes you there.
And then if that's exactly.
I didn't think about that. That's a good point.
Mm-hmm. Chris,
I think this might be like my favorite new record I've come across, and like part of that is because it feels like RX Bandits progress, or it feels like Hang Ups, or it feels like Hello Goodbye, or it feels like Real Big Fish. Like it seems to be. I love when ska music takes horns and it uses horns to make a better song, not a ska song. And what I mean by that is like there are ska songs that are just like
Wait, hold on. The Zoom cut out for a second. Will you do that again?
Oh yeah, one more time.
Oh, now I get it.
He gets it.
Now I get it. Yeah, you're exactly right.
And then it's like the two-tone stuff, which I do really love. I love when it happens in short supply, which this record does. Like, A Broken Pain's a great ska song. Big River's a great ska song. Like, they're good ska songs. Mm-hmm. But there's other things like Make It Easy is a good Hello Goodbye song. Like, it's really like, well, I love when the songwriting horns take on a different level in the songwriting, and I feel like that is all over this album. Mm-hmm. Of just like the horns they're there when you need them, they're in the background when you don't. They're like I really really love when that stuff happens. And then the other thing is like I feel like my brain is constantly all over the place, where I'm like I have a million thoughts. Like if you ask Amanda, she'll be like, sometimes I just can't be around.
Sometimes Chris just calls me and rants.
Yeah, it happens all the time. And then so some of this stuff, like the lyrics, like really caught me in terms of, and I think it's Broken Pain, but like
Broken Brain. Yeah, sorry. Where he's talking about like he has a million thoughts a second, and she has a million thoughts a second, and you know, like sometimes that's a burden to other people when like all you're doing is talking at people, similar to what I'm doing right now. And I was like, oh man, I really like it. It caught me in good spots. Then in the great spots, it really hit me. And I was like, I think this is like a top album of this year for me. Of like, and it came out during summer, where like Josh, I was putting together patio furniture, and I was like,
This is happening right now. Like, I'm jamming a Truly. I'm putting together patio furniture.
I was literally digging holes listening to Scott. I'm like, I'm having a great time.
I was mowing the lawn. I was straight up mowing the lawn, yeah.
For sure. And but there's everything here. Goldfinger, Less Than Jake, but it's done in this sort of like much more it's done in these really well done really well done songs. Like these songs from start to finish are really, none of them seem to waver on too long. Like there's a bridge that may be too long here or there, but for the most part, like they're really succinct, really well written songs that don't always feel like ska songs. Enough, and I thought that was going to be your problem. Really,
no, I don't have a problem with that at all. I think there's a lot of pop punk on this record. Like it's just like, I mean,
this is what I was saying about the 2021 version of ska.
Yeah,
it is
100%.
If somebody were to
100%.
ask me like, what's a good modern pop punk record that isn't too whiny and that actually has some substance to it, I might point them to this and say, hey, there might be some good horn hits too, by the way. So just
I think it's not to your point. Like Goldfinger always felt like that, where they're like a good pop punk band that also has kind of read ska songs. This feels dialed back a little bit, where like it's not like the pop punk that happens in Goldfinger. It doesn't always show up here, but it is certainly like a good. I thought that was going to end up being your problem with like fourth wave ska, which is it's combining too much with pop punk. And it's not just, they're not just ska records anymore. Like all of, and some of this is my own, and maybe this is your argument. Like I haven't gone and looked in the article Mike Park was talking about Catnip. Like I haven't gone and looked at that.
Probably.
Catbite,
they're really good.
But yeah, he's like, that's the best new ska band I've ever heard, or whatever he had made mention of. And I'm like, I should check that out, because I go out of my way to find new ska bands. And so maybe maybe I'm the person you hate.
Nope. Maybe.
You're the person I hate.
Maybe.
That is true.
Cool. Yeah, awesome. Chris, so you're saying that, effectively this is going to be one of your top records probably for the year, you think?
This might be just my summer record, like top record of the summer that I just, every time I'm on the deck, like doing work or whatever, and have headphones in, I'm going to be jamming this album.
Yeah. Dane, what about you?
I really went into this one thinking, because a lot of other We Are the Union records, especially the more recent ones, I was like, give it a good listen. Yeah, this is pretty good. I really like it. Okay, not return to it for a while. And I thought this one would be a lot like that, especially given the subject matter and thinking maybe this isn't a record meant for me. I definitely think I'll be coming around to this one a lot. I don't know if it'll be a top 10 record, but I mean, I've been listening to it pretty much nonstop for the past few days. And not because of the podcast, just I feel like I got to a point where like, I know this record. I'm ready to talk about it. Let's listen to it again, though.
And I
think that's going to be a good summer record for me, for sure.
I had a similar vibe where I'm going to go back to it because I don't feel like I digested it enough. Like I feel like there's nooks and crannies that I still need to find and hear and process. So that said, yeah, I'm gonna definitely, like, next time I'm outside today as I'm outside, I'm going to be jamming this record.
I will say also that having listened to this record and then went back to Self-Care, I was like, oh, all right. I think I liked, I felt like it kind of opened my brain up a little bit more. I think I'm going to go back to some of their earlier stuff too, and I think you guys should, because I think you'll probably dig it a lot.
I'm going to take that recommendation.
Yeah.
I'm going to take that recommendation. Cool. Well, this has been a very long episode. I forgot what the word ska means anymore, and let's go ahead and wrap this bad boy up.
Onomatopoeia.
Thank you guys so much for joining us today. Chris, where can people find what you're up to, buddy?
Dude, we are jam-packed this July. Woohoo! Got lots of shows coming up. The throwbackchicago.com. I couldn't be more excited to be playing shows again. My body is ready.
You got that new bass rig right behind you, right?
Woo! I think so. It's right there.
There she
Brand
is.
new Ampeg.
There she is.
Ooh.
Awesome.
Ooh.
Dane, what about you? Where can people find what you're up to?
Jetsam/flotsam.bandcamp.com is a good place to go. Yeah.
Almost didn't make
Doesn't
it.
even know.
Almost didn't make it.
Doesn't even know.
Cool.
Josh?
Any big releases coming up or what?
We're working on an EP from Broken Field Runner still. We're kind of putting singles out slowly but surely, and man, it's a really good one. And he sent me their next EP, which is a little more pop punky and full bandy, and
be on the lookout for that.
The one I don't know if we're supposed to talk about the one you said. Yeah.
I sent it to exactly like two people, and both people just as like, hey, here's a teaser of what's coming up, and both people were like, So, I mean, like, lots of good music coming out from Broken Field Runner. I'm really excited about it.
Awesome. Yep. And then for me, it's throwbacks, and it's also, you keep it locked here at Rock and Roll Brunch podcast. We are on YouTube. You can find all the shows there. You can also find us on Instagram, where we post a couple things here and there. We are not on Facebook because who cares? Also, we are not on TikTok because we're not 13. Anyway,
Dane told us we couldn't be.
Guys, don't say that on the air.
And Dane hates Scott. Dane, thank you so much. I didn't mean Scott. Dane hates TikTok. Dane, thank you so much for joining me today.
Thanks.
Chris, thanks so much for joining me. And until next time, check please.